G'day, Professor Joseph Drew here with some exciting news. My second book for the year, Natural Law and Government, has come out through Springer, who are my usual publishers, excellent people to work with. And in this video, I'll tell you a little bit about the book. It's the third book of the local government trilogy and the last. The subtitle of this book is After the COVID Revolution. It's a play on words of Dale's very famous book, After the Revolution, where he sets out a blueprint for a structure of government and a functioning of government that protects people's dignity. And I'm doing much the same thing. So there's a much greater focus in this book on human dignity, virtue, both the moral virtues but also the intellectual virtues, and practical reason, which you'll recall is having good reason for acting. And I argue, and I give many examples of where public policy didn't have practical reasoning associated with it, where we weren't given good reasons for acting. I talk about the importance of moral government, and the whole book really exposes what happens when we forget that government is a moral enterprise. And what happens is that humans can no longer flourish. And what happened during COVID is we overemphasized the common good, we repressed human dignity, and as a result, many people didn't flourish. But in fact, many people suffered and continue to suffer to this day. And of course, the point of the book is to show that if we use decentralized government, local government, to formulate policies, to massage policies, and to implement policies, we would have had much better outcomes. Now, I'm quite vociferous about the fact that our COVID public policy was an abject failure in Australia. People are starting to see the full implications of this. I've been writing and speaking about this since March 2020, that crushing productivity like we did, monetarizing debt, and handing out free money would result in stagflation, and which is a period of high inflation and very low growth. We're just starting to see the full implications of this now, and this is the cost we pay for bad public policy. And I believe, had we done this at the local government level, most of it, that we could have done much better. Indeed, as you go through the book, it took me a year to write because of interruptions with consulting work and other research and teaching and the like. You'll see that many of the things I said early on in the book actually ended up happening before I got to the end of the book. And I guess you've got to take my word for it that I didn't go back and re-edit stuff in chapter 1 and 2, but I didn't. And indeed, I wrote to the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister when all the COVID stuff came up, and told them that stagflation would be the outcome of reckless fiscal and monetary policy. And that's now what a lot of economists are saying we're going to enter into. It's going to be a really difficult period over the next couple of years, and I believe a lot of it could have been avoided, and that's probably the sad thing. So the solution to Leviathan government, where government becomes a monster and consumes its hapless citizens, as was prophesied back in biblical times by the prophet Samuel. The solution to that is decentralized government. That's something Buchanan said, of course, back in the 70s, but I've taken it much further than Buchanan ever took it. And I look indeed at the need for significant change to our democratic institutions and processes, also to our fiscal regimes and institutions, and most importantly, the need for an educated community, educated councillors and political representatives. So it's more innovative work. I'm really pushing the boundaries of scholarship, and it's on such a topical issue. And I don't think there was a more important issue to our lives than COVID. It certainly will take on increasing importance as we get more and more of the cost of it coming through over the next couple of years. And it's a really good time and timely opportunity to reflect back on how things could have been done better if we'd constructed government in a way where more power was at the decentralised level, where the government knows the people best, where they can understand the full implications of their policy best, and where they can adapt policies to suit the local tastes and preferences. So I encourage you to get a copy of Natural Law and Government after the COVID revolution. It's a bit sad that it's come to the end of the trilogy, but it was a lot of work and I'm a bit relieved. I've got another book that's due to come out at the very end of this year. And then after that, I'm thinking I'm going to take a very long break from book writing because I'm quite exhausted. Thank you very much for your time. Goodbye.